Howdy, everybody. Hey, welcome back to My Two Cents. Hopefully you were here last week and you remember to make your priority list. Remember, your priority list is the things most important to you in your life. If you haven't done that, I'll give you the quick version, but you'll want to get that done, because today we're going to talk about some decision-making protocols, and that's a fancy name for when you get up in the morning and you have these little forks in the road or just little daily decisions. Are they forming you and pushing you in a direction that's going to ultimately propel you in the direction you want to go, where you become the person that gets up in the morning and does the things that are really important to you? Or do you put yourself in a corner where you realize that your time is not your own and you're forced to make a lot of decisions of either or, family or business, hobby or family or whatever? So, or are you trying to balance your life? Or are all the things that you're doing basically beneficial to each other? Let's get on that. So hopefully you've made your priority list. Mine goes Christine, kids, athletics, and business. Athletics for me is my kayaking and fishing, and they're on equal playing field right now. So that's 4 things. When I get up in the morning, with a little bit of luck, if I've done my job right and I've made the right little decisions along the way and a few big decisions, I'm taking care of all of those things. And I feel like every day I'm moving in the right direction of all those things without having to balance my life. It's not like I have to figure out how to take care of this. When I'm doing that, I'm leaving this one alone or sacrificing that. And that is the most common way people are taught to live their lives, is you have to live a balanced life. You have to spend a certain amount of time on these different things. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually pretty accurate and pretty common way to live your life. But there's a little tip that you can do to improve that, and that is that when you're taking care of this, you're also taking care of that. And the little decisions, and thinking of it this way, just a little shift in your thinking, allows you to start putting these little pieces of the puzzle or pieces of your life together in a way that when you take care of one thing, you take care of the other. For me, there's some pretty obvious examples that if you know me, you probably would understand. So for example, when I go whitewater kayaking, which is one of my favorite things to do in the whole world, I've dedicated my whole life to it. Who do I get to go kayaking with? My kids. How cool is that? I mean, like traveling the world and kayaking every day with your kids. I spend a lot of time with my kids. A lot of people are very jealous and would love to be able to spend as much time with their kids as I do with mine. Well, it wasn't an accident. Another thing, when I get up in the morning, how much time do I spend with my wife Christine? Almost 24/7. Why? Because she travels with me. We go to everywhere we go. We go together to work from home. Man, that's just, how do you fall into that one? I didn't. I mean, I was lucky enough to recognize that was super important to me, and some of the decisions I made in my life and what Christine made allowed us to put that together. So I get to spend time with my wife, my kids, while I'm kayaking. And I've got this other thing called Jackson Kayak. It's a business. When I go to work, a lot of the time when I'm working at Jackson Kayak, who am I working with? My wife Christine, my kids. They both work at Jackson Kayak. My son-in-law Nick. Of course, most of my friends. Even my mother-in-law Lorraine, my brother-in-law Bill, my nephew Will. So my business is part of my family as well. This is after years of making little decisions along the way based on that priority list: wife, kids, kayaking, business, that have allowed me to have most of the activities I do take care of all of those things at the same time. Now, not all of them do. There's plenty of times where I'm about to go to meetings when my wife and kids aren't going to be out at the factory. But as a general rule, my days are filled with time with my wife and kids, doing my athletics and taking care of my business. That's pretty sweet. So I'm going to give you a few examples of how you can make decisions. So make sure you make your priority list. We've covered that last week. You can click on my the last YouTube, My 2 Cents. Nothing as good or bad as it seems at the moment is what it's called. And I'll give you some tips on making priority lists. But if you haven't done it, just as a quick reminder, you need to be pretty honest with it, because if you flip-flop one priority over another because of external pressures and it's not your real priority, you're going to find yourself kind of stuck with that. So it's important to do that. Do it honestly with yourself. There's a lot of little decisions you can make along the way that aren't life-changing on the outside, but they become life-changing and they set the tone, and then people around you recognize your priorities and they try to help you achieve them and not violate them. Some people will test them, especially at work, for example, because they don't believe that you're in your priorities, or they don't believe that you believe in them, and they put them to the test. It's really critical to not fail those tests. So a couple examples with me. In my work, I've had for years, when I worked at Wave Sport Kayaks back in the day, I can talk about it now because they don't exist anymore. When I worked with Wave Sport, my boss, I was brand manager, and I lived in an RV full time with the kids. Why RV full time? Because that's the way I can spend. I'm with my wife, I'm with my kids, I'm traveling around to go kayaking, and I figured out a way to make money out of my RV, which was being a sales rep and brand manager for Wave Sport. Well, one day I was tested on that. My boss at Wave Sport said, "EJ, I have 392 employees and only one that doesn't come to work. If you're not here on Monday, and I've got an office for you, I've got a place where you can park the RV and plug in. If you're not here on Monday, you're fired." And Monday, that was my plan on Monday. I'm kayaking at this river, training for this event. My business is lower priority than my kayaking and my family and traveling in the RV. He was basically trying to shut down my traveling around RV lifestyle. The decision, this is a big decision, obviously. The decision took me all of like 2 seconds. Like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be there, man. I'm going to be here. But while I'm here, I'm going to be selling kayaks and whatever. But look, that's not happening. Monday I call, "Hey man, do I still have a job or am I fired?" Well, but and anyway, I wasn't fired. He was testing my priority list. Now, he could have very well fired me. Now, if he fired me, did I make the wrong decision? Absolutely not. That's why the decision's so easy. Well, how do you know you didn't make the wrong decision? Because my business falls below my kayaking, my kids, and my wife. And to turn my RV lifestyle into a working in North Carolina lifestyle where I'm no longer an athlete traveling around with my wife and kids would be to sacrifice three things more important to me for my fourth priority list. That's what made the decision so easy. Now, obviously, had I got fired, I had to figure out a way to make money, but I would have tried to figure out another way to make money that I can take care of it. Would there have been ruffles and challenges? Absolutely. Are they worth it? Well, that's up to you to decide. For me, it would have been worth it because of my priority list goes wife, kids, kayaking, business. So number 4 fell away. I maintained 1, 2, and 3, even though we all struggle with some. We don't know what we're doing. How are we going to make money? I held them intact. They recognize that. I find another way to make money in the meantime, and that follows suit. And you could say, well, what if you can't find that way? Yeah, that has happened, and we've had plenty of struggles and financial struggles over the time. But at the end of the day, if you're motivated, you will figure out a way to survive, even if it's not at the same lifestyle you had before, and still keep your priorities in order. Okay, decision-making protocol. Short and sweet. We could go into this for hours, examples. I'll give you one more quick work example. You want to go hiking every day, but you live in Rock Island, and it gets dark at 4:30 in the wintertime. You get off work at 5. But hiking's more important than your job. Man, you're screwed. What do? You can't hike 5 days a week. Well, you can go to your boss and say, "Hey, can I go to work at 6 and get off at 3? Is there any way I can do that so that I can go hiking?" And if hiking is more important than your job, your boss will say, Oh, okay, that'll work. Or your boss said, no, you got to come to work at 8 and get off at 5. You're faced with two choices. Stay at work and don't go hiking, which means the hiking obviously isn't actually as important as you said it was. Or find a job where you can go to work at 6 and get off at 3. But most likely, or very likely, depending on your job and your boss, you'll be able to go to work at 6, get off at 3, and go hiking, and you just created a mutually beneficial situation, and you're well on your way to what I sometimes call life without compromise, but otherwise known as just setting yourself up in a way that you can live your life one step at a time, closer and closer to what you consider your ideal. Just my 2 cents. Next week, we're going to get a little bit deeper into that, and we're going to talk about things like relationships and ways to make a decision-making protocol for different types of situations and what that might look like. Use some real-life examples that I've had that some of them are pretty extreme and some of them are pretty small, but all of them have slowly moved me into the position to be able to live a life that I dream of and imagine. See ya.